All right, we made it. We are at our final lesson for Unit 7. We're going to spend just a little bit of time today reviewing volume and surface area. Most of these problems you're going to do on your own. But again, just wanted to give you a quick reminder before we have our final quiz for Unit 7. Looking at your handouts, we have two columns on this first side of the handout. So please note, of course, the directions tell us to find the volume of each, referring to the four examples here. I would say make that stand out because sometimes it's really easy to get kind of lost in what you're doing, confuse one for the other, and find the wrong thing. And of course, that's going to get the question marked wrong. So be very, very careful whether or not you're finding surface area or volume. So for volume, remember we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but volume is talking about the surface, the amount of space inside of the figure. If we were to fill it up, how much could it be filled with? That's what we're talking about with volume. So with volume, with either of these shapes, a rectangular prism or triangular prism, we are finding the area of the base, multiplying it by the height of the figure. These are those examples we talked about, kind of like a loaf of bread. Figure out how big the slice of bread is, and then how many slices make up that loaf. Here we've got triangular slices. How many slices are there? It's that third dimension, that 9 centimeters. So we will find the area of the base first. In this first one, it's a rectangle that's 8 by 4. So this is going to have an area of 32 square inches because we just found the area of that base. Now we're looking at the third dimension, how many of these slices there are. There's 16 of them. So we're going to multiply that by 16 and get 512. Now we're talking volume, so we're talking in 3 dimensions. Cubic inches is how we would label that. For the next one, we've got to find the area of the base, which is a triangle. That triangle has a base of 6 centimeters. It's 4 centimeters tall. We're going to multiply the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle, and then take half of that, divide it by 2. So 6 times 4 is 24. Half of 24 is 12. So the area of this base is 12 square centimeters. And then just like the last, we're looking at how many slices there are. How far back does this loaf of bread go? So we're going to multiply by the other dimension, the third dimension, which is 9. Now we're dealing in 3 dimensions, cubic centimeters, and 12 times 9 is 108. So that would be how to find the volume. Don't forget to go back into the packet if you need more information. Later on, there's an example down question 4 of a pyramid. So go back and find that formula for finding the volume of a pyramid and refresh that in your mind. On the other column now we're talking about surface area. Remember, that is all the surfaces of this figure. How much area does it have? If we were painting this cube, how much paint would we need to cover all 6 surfaces? Or if we were wrapping it in wrapping paper, how much paper, so on. Okay, so we're not talking about the size of or the amount of space inside, but instead the size of all the surfaces. This is where it is possible to draw a net of the figure, which would be something like this, which would have our top and bottom and our 4 sides. That would be a way to find the surface area. Here, because it's a cube, cubes are made up of square faces. We know that one face is 4 by 4, so it's going to have a surface area of 16. We're not given the measurement unit, so that would just be square units. And then because our third dimension is the same as the first two, all we're dealing with is a bunch of these same size squares. We have 6 squares on this figure, so I would just multiply that area by 6 to get the 96. Now this is where the difference would come in. We're not talking about volume again. We're still talking about area, so we're still going to have squared units as we label our answer. For the next, same idea. We have a triangular prism. So the first thing I would do is figure out how many surfaces we have. This would be our base, the triangle. So we're going to have one base here and one back on the other side there that's kind of hidden. So we have 2 triangles and we have 3 rectangles. Now I would check to see, are those rectangles the same size? Well, we have one that's 14 by 13, and I can see that's going to be the same on this hidden back side here because this is 13, still going to have the same dimension of 14, but the bottom is different. That's going to be 10 by 14. So really we have 2 rectangles that are the same. Those are the 13 by 14 ones. And then we have another rectangle on the bottom that is 10 by 14. And we have to find the area of the triangle. So our triangle has a base of 10, a height of 12. 12 times 10 is 120, but I want half of that. So half of 120 is 60. So we have an area of a triangle that's 60, which we have 2 of. Then when we take 13 times 14, that's 182. And 10 times 14 is 140. So I have my 3 shapes. I have 2 triangles, 2 of these rectangles, and only 1 of this. So once I do all that math, combining everything, I get a total of 624 square millimeters. Again, it's squared because we're only talking about the area of these surfaces. All right? Go ahead and finish up the rest on this side. On the back of the handout is more practice with this. I would really encourage you to go back into your packet, find the formulas that we used for pyramids and review those, and pay close attention to whether we're finding volume or whether we're finding surface area. We are going to have some questions on the quiz that use algebra. So if you remember, we had some examples several lessons back where we were using equations to find a missing dimension of a shape. That's going to be really important to be able to do and kind of that higher level thinking. So take a look at a couple of those examples. There are no practice problems with this lesson. So go back, do some studying, do some reviewing, jump on Zoom and ask a question, and be ready for our quiz. Have a great day.